Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me and for holding this important hearing. The chairman and I had to discuss the possibility of bringing in the directors of the multiple food assistance programs and policies that we have across our government. And so I think I'm grateful to you all for coming today, but really especially grateful for the chairman's leadership in this regard. I don't think this is a well understood space by the American people, and yet it is essential to well-being throughout the world. So again, thank you for coming and your leadership. But I think it's important at the start of the hearing to point out the United States does lead the world, both in terms of generosity and outreach. That includes agricultural and humanitarian assistance. And I think it's not only necessary to point that out because it compels us to examine how effective these programs are, but also the underlying premise. Despite any temporary disagreement with another nation or trade dispute, countries all around the world turn to us because of our leadership and capacity and generosity. America's ability to help other people in need and the generosity of the people that we serve are really a hallmark of who we are. It marks the character of us as a nation. Regarding international food assistance, many of us have worked in this space for a very long time, and we often hear that this is actually 1%, less than 1% of the overall federal budget. But for our Appropriations Committee, it represents 8%, so it's a significant portion of what we are dealing with and therefore a priority. So as a part of our oversight of these programs, we have to do two things at once. Look at the management of the programs, but also, and this is very important, how do we also think innovatively? How do we attack the sources of structural poverty and overcome misery in the world so that we can create stability in other countries and even the possibility of flourishing for communities and other persons? It's about possibilities, the possibilities of innovation and new approaches that we also have to have a marked focus on as a part of our oversight efforts. This hearing is a great way for us to step back and provide some reflection on just what the purpose of these programs are, how successful they are, but also what are the metrics? How do we measure outcomes to meet these fundamental goals? Also, how are they reconcilable with other programs? Are we unnecessarily duplicating? Why one program is embedded in one agency versus another, and how those agencies collaborate. Our ultimate goal is to, again, create the conditions in which persons can have lives filled with opportunity and hope, and that we can do our part to build more just and good societies, because again, that's who we are, that's our humanitarian impulse, but it's also critical to international stability and therefore our own security. So I believe that this vision and goal should continue to be a part of the evolving of our entire foreign policy and defense policy in Congress. They're inextricably intertwined. That, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much again for holding this committee, and I yield back.